with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, it brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. We won't be lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Good morning, and welcome to Story Time. Thank you so much for joining in. Happy Friday, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that the week has been good to you, and I hope that the weekend is even better. Thank you so much for joining in today. Glad that we're here together. Another amazing story coming up. And we've also had amazing stories this week. Great personalities. Great stories to read, great conversations to be had, and yes, so much more to ponder. Thank you so much for being here with me. Absolutely appreciate you, and I hope that wherever you are, it is nice and warm and cozy and ready. Indeed, the perfect spot for this story time. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you are well. Glad that you're with us wherever you're joining us from. Remember to please send us a message. Let us know you are here, so indeed we can say hi to you and your loved ones. And of course, we hope that you enjoy this story. If you have this book at home, get a copy right now. Get it and start reading along with us when we start the story. Thank you so much for being here. It is a beautiful one, written by our good friend here at Storytime, Kim TOMSIC, and it is illustrated by Brett HELQUIST. And we're reading this one with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. And today's book is Guitar Genius: How Les Paul Engineered the Solid Body Electric Guitar and Rocked the World. Here it is. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time, and I hope that you enjoy it. It is coming right up. I love it, and I hope that you do too. And of course, if you're a fan of Les Paul's music, then you know you're in for a treat. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. One coming up very shortly: Chronicle Books of San Francisco, Kim TOMSIC, Brett HELQUIST. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. And let's not forget too that our friend Marietta Apollonia has a brand new book coming out shortly, May 11th. Yes, as you know, it was originally scheduled for March 2nd, but now it'll be May 11th, 2023. It is coming. Supply chain issues delayed it a little bit, but it will be here still. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. And this has been the amazing lineup that we've had this week. Amazing indeed. And I'm excited for you to check out these books at your local library. And of course, too, if you've not heard Guitar Genius yet, well, it is here today, and we're going to go through that together. Thank you so much for joining in. Absolutely excited that we're here together. Let us see this morning who is with us, ready to enjoy a wonderful story. And of course, two more pictures too, as we're enjoying more scenes from Grayton, Massachusetts. Thank you for the submissions. Appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Please keep sending us those beautiful pictures, and we can keep sharing them here on Story Time. Thank you for being here. Beautiful scenes indeed. Thank you to you. How are you doing today? Sarah and Nathan out in very soggy Illinois. We won't let rain dampen our moods today. Happy Friday, friends. Oh, that is the spirit right there. Thank you so much for joining in. And yes, indeed, good morning coming to everybody from Sarah and Nathan out in soggy Illinois, where they're not letting this rain dampen their moods. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for inspiring us today. Thank you indeed. Have a wonderful day. And you know what? Before we go all out, we have a story to read together. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning. Good morning. Owen, hugs. I love it. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you indeed. Absolutely appreciate you. I'm picturing your voice right now saying that. Good morning, Mr. Lamar. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining in. Owen, good morning to you. Thank you. Thank you indeed. And of course, Christine Costa, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for being here on Story Time. Good morning to you. And I must say, too, that Owen and Miles, I love the way you story time. Thank you for the pictures. And yes, love it. Your spot looks pretty cozy. I'm jealous. I love it. Thank you for being here. Tara McNamara, good morning to you. And of course, Clara and Erin out there in Massachusetts, enjoying a beautiful sunny day, bracing for a lot more snow tonight. Looking forward to today's story time. This one promises to be a good one indeed. And yeah, I've enjoyed prepping for this one. I hope that you enjoy it to the fullest. Guitar genius, how Les Paul engineered the solid body electric guitar and rocked the world. Yes, indeed. Kim TOMSIC and Brett HELQUIST, and of course, being read with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Thank you indeed for joining in. Good morning to you one more time, Erin and Clara, and of course, Tara McNamara. Thank you for joining us out there in Massachusetts. Enjoy the sun while it's out, and I hope that you do indeed stay safe during the snow. Thank you so much for being here with us. Good morning to you, Tori Gamble. Good to see you out there in Bothell, Washington. Thank you so much for joining us. And you say Friday, and happy Friday. And here's to a great weekend ahead. Oh, yes, indeed. That's the spirit too. Thank you so much for sharing that. Happy Friday, everybody. And here is to a great weekend. Yes, here. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. Are you ready for today's story? Go grab what you need right now. Grab that drink, grab that juice, grab that snack, and get ready for story time. Our story today is indeed a fascinating one. I love it, and I hope that you do too. Thank you so much for joining in. Get ready, get comfortable, get cozy. We'll be right back after this short break for our story for today. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for joining in, friends. Appreciate you all.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda with Amanda Weltman. Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda with Amanda Weltman Photography. I'm a photographer and printmaker based in the Pacific Northwest, and I believe that your face deserves wall space. Enjoy today's story time with my favorite storyteller, Mr. Lamata.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Davis. I'm a children's book author, illustrator, and high school art educator. I am the author of 30,000 Stitches, the inspiring story of the National 9/11 flag, illustrated by Sally Warren Comport and published with Worthy Kids # book group. One thing that drew me to writing 30,000 Stitches was the idea that people from all different communities came out to stitch this flag and make it whole again. So I hope that when people read 30,000 Stitches, they remember the power of sharing our stories. When people came out to stitch the flag, they shared their stories, whether about loss or pain or love. We all have stories to tell, and by sharing our stories and listening to one another's stories, we can create a better understanding of each other and create a sense of connection and unity. And this is what creates a more inclusive world. I hope you enjoy your story time with Mr. Lamata. Bye, everybody.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Appreciate you, Amanda Davis. Thank you for that wonderful message. Yes, a world, an inclusive world is what we strive for. Thank you so much indeed for sharing that. And of course, Amanda Wortman Photography, if you need photography needs and you're out there in the Washington area, or indeed if you're able to get them to where you are, Amanda Wortman Photography is the one for you. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Here is our story, Guitar Genius. This one written by Kim TOMSIC, illustrations by Brett HELQUIST, and the full title is Guitar Genius, how Les Paul engineered the solid body electric guitar and rocked the world. Oh, yes, indeed. Here we go. Guitar Genius, how Les Paul engineered the solid body electric guitar and rocked the world. written by Kim TOMSIC, illustrations by Brett HELQUIST. And we're reading this one with permission of the publishers, Chronicle Books of San Francisco. A big thank you to them as always. In a 3-story schoolhouse near the Fox River in Waukesha, Wisconsin, children scrambled into the music room. In a 3-story schoolhouse near the Fox River in Waukesha, Wisconsin, children scrambled into the music room. Look at the excitement. Oh. Tambourines shimmied, drums boomed, and bells clanged. Little Lester loved it all. The punchy plack of banjo chords, the bright twinkle of piano keys, and the rise and fall of notes. Oh, he loved it all. Lester couldn't read music sheets. Those tracks of squiggly lines and black dots didn't make sense. But it didn't matter. The fun part was all the sounds he could make. Oh, yes. Lester couldn't read music sheets. Those tracks of squiggly lines and black dots, well, they didn't make sense. But it didn't matter. The fun part was all the sounds he could make. Ah. At his after-school piano lesson, his teacher sighed and pinned a note to his shirt. He skipped all the way home. "What does it say? What does it say?" he asked, grinning from freckle to freckle. "Well," Lester's mother said gently, "it says that you will never be musical." Lester's shoulders sank. His eyes stung. "Don't listen to her," his mother tore the paper apart into tiny pieces. "You're going to be great." "Really?" he asked. "You can do anything you put your mind to." Lester thought about that. You can do anything you put your mind to. Aw. He did a lot of thinking. One day, while he was stuffing newspapers for his paper route, his buddy Harry showed up wrapping wire around an empty oatmeal can. "What are you doing, Harry?" "I am building a crystal radio set." "A what?" Well, that was interesting. So Lester gathered bits and parts and built his own crystal kit. Then he wired it right to the bed springs in his mattress for an antenna. Out from his home-built radio floated the warm draw of guitar strings. Wowza! Whoa! It worked. Oh, yes, indeed. Out from his home-built radio floated the warm draw of guitar strings. Wowza! Reminds me of what we called simple radios that we built as kids. With my cousins and friends. Oh my. Lester saved his paper route earnings until he had enough to order his very own guitar. Oh. As Lester opened the box, his finger hit one of the guitar strings. "You already sound great, Lester," his mother said. He didn't. Lester fumbled through the chords. His fingers floundered over the fretboard. He even blundered through the B notes. His hands weren't big enough to reach all 6 strings. So he removed one. And then he practiced and practiced and practiced until he could play the guitar, the banjo, and even the harmonica. He sounded so slick that the manager of WTMJ invited him to play on the radio. "Whoa, mister," his mother said, "you don't know how good that sounds. I wish you could hear it like we do when you play on the radio." Oh. Yes, Mister, you have no idea. You do not understand how good this sounds. I wish you could hear it like we do when you play on the radio. Ah. Lester wished that too, but he couldn't. But he didn't own a recording device. It was the 1920s after all, right? Nobody he knew owned that sort of gadget. But that was okay. If he didn't have a recording device, well, he would build one. He scrutinized the family's newfangled gizmos, tinkering in his mother's living room and his father's garage, and then he took everything apart. Things like the phonograph, the player piano, the telephone, and the radio. Ma, his big brother called out. The kid's at it again. Leave him alone, Ralph, his mother said. He's just trying to learn. Aw. Look at Ralph. Ma, the kid is at it again. Oh, siblings, love them. With a Cadillac flywheel, a dentist's belt, and a nail, and other pieces and parts, he built a recording lathe so he could record his music. He made recordings of his guitar strumming and harmonica humming, and then he played them back to figure out how to make it sound better. Soon, he could whip out all sorts of knee-slapping hillbilly melodies. Everybody said he was super. Everybody said he was super. Oh my. But Lester wanted to be even better. He wanted to play both sides of his harmonica while he plucked his guitar. You only have two arms, you goofus, Ralph said. You can't flip a harmonica and play a guitar at the same time. Oh, everyone knows this is impossible. But Lester thought it was possible. So, when Ralph left for work in the neighborhood dry cleaning store, Lester picked up a coat hanger left lying around the house. He fitted the hanger over his shoulders and shaped the other ends to fit the harmonica so he could flip the instrument with his chin and play twice as many sounds. Whoa! Hot dog, it worked! He could hum and strum at the same time. Wow. Talk about ingenuity. At 13 years old, Lester called himself Red Hot Red. He landed local gigs by playing his guitar harmonica act and telling funny stories. He performed for tips at nearby movie theaters, clubs, and drive-ins. Oh my. Sounds like fun. Folks who sat up front loved the act, but people in the back complained. We can't hear you, Red. Nobody in the back can hear you play. Lester wanted his music heard up front, in the back, and in the way, way back. His tips depended on it. Ah, yes. Lester wanted his music heard everywhere. He wanted it heard up front, in the back, and in the way, way back. Well, his tips depended on it. He thought and thought until a solution struck him. He could make it louder. All he had to do was borrow a few things from home. A cinder block, a broomstick, a telephone, well, and a radio. He stuffed the broom handle into the cinder block and mounted the telephone's mouthpiece to the top of the broom handle. There, a microphone stand. Then he wired it to the radio to create the speaker for his sound. Lester sang and played his harmonica into the homemade mic. Sure enough, the tune boomed from the speaker. Oh my. What a brain. Ah. Hooray! Folks in the front could hear, folks in the back could hear, but a heckler in the way, way back sent a note to Lester. Oh, what could it be now? It read, "Hey, Red, your voice is fine, your harmonica's fine, and your jokes are funny, but the guitar is not loud enough." Oh, my. Always something to overcome, isn't there? Oh, my goodness. What can Lester do about this? Lester rummaged through the garage until a brilliant idea zipped to mind: to take the torn arm off his father's phonograph player and jam the arm with the needle into the top of the guitar. Would that work? He taped everything in place and wired it to his dad's radio. "Geez," Ralph said, staring at the ruined phonograph. "What did you do that for?" "If it plays a phonograph record, it must play a guitar, right? They both vibrate." He snatched up the contraption and headed back to Bigman's barbecue to test it in front of the crowd. It worked! Whoa! Harmonica sounds floated from one radio speaker. "Bowsy Blowza! Whoa!" Guitar strumming amplified from the other radio speaker. Strum, twang, strum. Oh my, he had it going. Everyone could hear. It was a smashing success. Well, almost. The problem was, it wasn't just the strings vibrating. The hollow space in the middle of the guitar vibrated too, making the speaker echo and screech. Oh no. Oh, I thought we had it there. More tinkering is needed. Lester knew he could play cleaner tones if he could just stop the guitar from vibrating. How though? How could he do that? It bamboozled him. He tried stuffing the hollow center with rugs, socks, and the tablecloth. Nope, that did not work. Next, he filled it with plaster of Paris. That was a bust and ruined the guitar. Oh no. Lester had one more idea. He borrowed a wagon and convinced 4 friends to trek down to a steep riverbank to the railroad tracks to help him. There, he found 2.5-foot piece of discarded steel rail. Would this work? Was that what was needed? Back at home, he attached a guitar string to the rail and placed the telephone microphone under the string to pick up the sound vibrations. "Now what are you doing?" Ralph asked. "There's only one way to do this," Lester said. "Steel is dense and free of the vibrations I don't want." He gave his steel guitar a strum. "Wow, wow, wow, bow, chicka, bow, bow, wow, wow." "Yowza," Ralph said. But his mom, who usually thought Lester was the cat's meow, shook her head and frowned. That will be the day when you see a cowboy sitting on a horse playing a railroad track. All the cowboys in the movies and traveling shows played guitars. Shucks, guitars and cowboys went together like peanut butter and jelly. If a cowboy wouldn't like this idea, then nobody would. Rats! But Lester pushed on. Yes, don't give up. Push on and push on. Oh. He tweaked and tinkered until he found a way to amplify his acoustic guitar without echo and feedback. Twang! It sounded okay, good even, but it wasn't the rich sound he had heard the steel rail play. He continued practicing, and when he turned 17, his mom let him take his act on the road. Whoa! And he went by Rhubarb Red, And at 19 years old, he shortened his name from Lester Pofus to Les Paul. A few years after that, he formed a band called Les Paul Trio. He played hillbilly music in the daytime as Rhubarb Red, and later learned blues and jazz at night as the Wizard of Waukesha. He swapped licks of his guitar in Chicago and then in New York beside some of the greatest musicians of all time. The new style of music got Les' mind ticking again. He loved the variety of sounds, the vibrato of clarinets, the badam tish of drums, the blurp of horns. But the twang of his guitar still wasn't loud enough. It wasn't quite where he wanted it to be. And look at those amazing names on this list. Louis Armstrong, Charlie Christian, Art Tatum, Coleman Hawkins, Nat King Cole, Bing Crosby. Wow, that's quite the lineup. And Les Paul Trio. By the time Les turned 24, he had become a hotsy-totsy musician. Even President Franklin D. Roosevelt loved his tunes when Les and his razzmatazz jazz trio performed at the White House. Still, Les dreamed of the sound of that iron rail. How could he make an electric guitar that held a note like that? The question prickled and busted in his mind until 1941, when he was 26 years old. He didn't have equipment or a workshop, nothing. But he was red hot red, Rhubarb Red, the Wizard of Waukesha. He could do anything he set his mind to. The night watchman at the Epiphone Guitar Factory let him in on Sundays. There he took a 4x4 piece of solid pine, hooked on an Epiphone neck, his own homemade pickups and guitar strings. His solid body electric guitar looked like a log with the strings on it. So he called it the log. And when he gave it a strum, wow, wow, bow, wow, wow, hot dog, Les said. It was the best thing he had ever heard. Oh my. Look at Les go. He took it to a swanky nightclub to show off his new sound. But when he played the log in front of a crowd, they didn't applaud. They didn't boo. Folks just looked at one another. What is that thing? Huh? How could the audience not hear what he had heard? But Les' shoulders didn't sink. His eyes didn't get stingy. He did not give up. Maybe the audience hears with its eyes. Les returned to the Epiphone factory and told the watchman, everyone's confused. They don't know it's a guitar. There, Les said. Now it looks more like a guitar. Genius. But it wasn't a regular guitar. It was a solid body electric guitar. Wow, 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 bow, chicka, wow, bow, chicka, bow. It purred, it hummed, it twanged in all the right ways. Finally, the sound he had dreamed of had come alive. The crowd went wild. Hooray! Yes, the crowd went wild. No matter what anyone told Les, he never stopped working on all kinds of sound. His hard work earned him a place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Grammy Hall of Fame, and many other halls of fame. He also received the Trustees Award from the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. At 89, Les Paul was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. When he walked on stage to receive his award, noise erupted and boomed from the crowd. Clappity clap clap, rah, huzzah, ah, hooray! And of course, Les noticed. Oh my goodness, what some achievements those are. Hot dog, last thought. Hot dog indeed. Ah. And that is the end of our story. And Kim TOMSIC has put a whole author's note. It is quite long in the back, but I hope that you get a chance to get this book and actually go through the author's note, because it is a fascinating one. Because of time, we won't read it today, but I hope that you enjoyed that story of Les Paul. And yes, I hope that this gets you to dig a little bit deeper into Les Paul. And why not? Maybe play some Les Paul music today too. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. This has been Storytime for today. I'll be back after this short break. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Appreciate you all.
Hi, friends. I'm Marietta Apollonio.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
Hi, friends. I'm Marietta Apollonio, the author and illustrator of Jack the Library Cat, and you are watching my family's favorite Storytime with Mr. LaMotta. Bye.
Thank you, Marietta, indeed. Thank you for joining in, friends. Absolutely appreciate you. And yes, today my clicker is not working as great, but thank you so much for being here with us on Storytime. This has been Storytime. This has been Guitar Genius. Yes, the story of Les Paul and how he engineered the solid body electric guitar and, of course, rocked the world. Thank you so much for joining in, and please never give up. And as you can see too, he worked on his ideas for so long, right? So sometimes ideas come right there and we got it, and sometimes it takes a lot of trying and trying again. And yes, just don't give up. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. And you know what? I must also mention too, I really appreciate the support from his mom. You know, it is always so good to have those pillars of support in your life, people that can cheer you on, people that can, you know, like the mom told him when she thought that was not a good idea with this deal. Sometimes we need that, somebody to just give us that feedback and let us know to try something else. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Let us see one more time who was with us here on Storytime. Thank you for joining in. Yes, out in Bothell, Washington. Thank you. You're saying happy Friday, and here's to a great weekend. Well, a great weekend ahead. Thank you, Tori Gamble. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you here for many, many more story times. Thank you indeed for being here with us. Soraya, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, Sharon Lungo right here in Oakland. Thank you so much for joining in. Absolutely appreciate you. Miles has always been into music, and he loved this book from the library when he was younger. So fun to show it to Owen. Oh, yes, indeed. Thank you so much for joining in, and good to know there too. Love for music. I am with you on that one. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for sharing. Christine Costa, Miles, and Owen, thank you so much for joining us out there in Massachusetts. Tara McNamara, thank you so much for being here with us. Appreciate you. And of course, Clara and Erin, we hope that you have a wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Sarah and Nathan, thank you for joining us out there in Illinois. I hope that indeed your moods continues. You continue to be happy. You continue indeed to not let that rain dampen your mood. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. This has been Storytime for today. This has been Storytime on this wonderful Friday morning. Storytime for this week. We've had an amazing lineup. Thank you for being a part of the journey, and I hope too that you continue to find these books at your local library and get to enjoy them as much as possible. Thank you indeed. We've had an amazing one. Only the best. Guitar Genius, Snail, Seen and Unseen, Woven of the World. All powerful books, or indeed inspiring in their own way. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I appreciate you so much. And of course, to remember that Jack the Library Cat is coming to Storytime, and that will be on May 11th with Marietta Apollonia. That will be here. Lots to learn from Jack the Library Cat, and I hope we continue to look forward to that one. Thank you for being here with me, friends. I will see you again on Monday. No, I'll actually see you tomorrow. There's a special story time tomorrow. We're reading 2 books. So special story time tomorrow. Look out for those details coming your way. And of course, then we're back on Monday with another exciting lineup. Thank you so much for joining in. This has been Storytime, sending you love, 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 love. And I think to borrow words today from who was it? Let's see. Oh, yes, from Tori Gamble. I think we're going to borrow that and end on that note. Happy Friday. And indeed, here is to a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much for joining in, friends. Absolutely appreciate you. Goodbye. See you on Monday. Or see you tomorrow. And then, of course, we're back next Monday as well. Thank you.
Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start our reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing